Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rutan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. And I think this is the first time I've had a return guest. A little over a year ago, we were sitting at the Yeatman in Villanova de Gaia, across from Porto, and we did an interview, episode 99. And we talked about Esporao Murcas Wineries, which Pedro represents. Thanks, Pedro, for coming on the show again.
Thanks for having me.
This time we're in the States.
Yes. And
we're in Mike's Wine Bar and Cafe, where I love to shoot videos. Right behind us is Friday Harbor. I work right over there. So, you know, the traffic, everything going behind us, it's kind of cool. We're going to taste some wines from Esporao, but first of all, Pedro, kind of give us a little bit, we didn't talk a lot about you as how you got into the wine business, how you hooked up with Esporao, and all that. You were raised in Portugal.
I'm born in Lisbon, raised close to Lisbon in a little fisherman town called Cascais. Beautiful place in Portugal. I recommend everybody to come and visit us. It's outstanding.
Oh,
good people, good food, good wine, obviously.
Absolutely.
And yes, wine's been part of my life for a very long, long time. My father's worked in the wine business for quite a long time. I remember tasting wine when I was really young, maybe 6, 7 years old. I would smell it, I would get a bit of a taste, and I really enjoyed it. And so it kind of kept for a long time. And also, my family, we have a small project. We do organic wine in coastal Alentejo, so not too far from where Esporao is. But so the combination of all these things together, it's inevitable that I'm in wine. But yeah, something that I love doing.
So when you hooked up with Esporao in Canada, you were an agent.
Yes.
In Canada for.
So Canada was an opportunity for me to start my professional career. I had the opportunity to create a wine agency exclusively based with Portuguese wines, along with other partners, and we represented at the beginning around 12 Portuguese producers, and one of our most successful producers was Esporao. So I did that for 7 years, and after 7 years, after spending very rough winters in Toronto, we just decided to go back to Portugal, and Esporao invited me to work with them. It was kind of a no-brainer decision. That's how I ended up in Esporao.
Yeah,
So it's been 7 years directly working with Esporao, but 15 years working with the brand. So it's been a while.
Very cool. Yeah, I was always wondering, because I don't think when we were over there, actually, my wife and I went to Portugal last year in September, and Pedro was our guide to Esporao and Murcas up in the Douro area. We don't have any of those right now, but they have a port and Subio. They do a great rosé. You got to get
yes, we definitely have to
carry the rosé.
Yes.
The stuff is awesome.
You hear that, Venom?
We have the Venom rep right there. We need to get that up there. And Michael, if you're watching, I know you are, you need to bring in a Subio. It's a Subio rosé.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stuff is awesome. We had it. We were overlooking the Douro River, drinking the rosé. I think I drank a whole bottle by myself. I think.
I think we all did.
So we're going to taste some wines from Esporao, and tell us a little bit about the restaurant there. I mean, this restaurant, we ate there. The place is amazing. Is it a 5-star restaurant?
Well, we kind of, if we could classify ourselves, it's a 6-star or 7-star.
Okay.
But no, the restaurant came about in the mid-90s. We were the first wine tourism winery in Portugal, and it was a great way to promote your products. There's no other way, and there's no other better way to promote your products when you have a restaurant and you have traditional food being prepared locally, fresh every day by an executive chef, and it's great. We get an average around 30,000 guests every single year at the restaurant, so it's a great window to expose our products, and it's a great way to taste our wines with food. So it is a very profitable situation for us for many, many reasons. So yeah, and the food is outstanding.
Oh.
I know you enjoy it. Everybody enjoys it. People come back, and it's a great time. And the scenario, and you're sitting down in the restaurant, and you have the amazing view of the Alentejo scenario is just
the lake down below. Yeah,
the
incredible. The
vineyards
vineyards are right there. I mean, the winery itself is incredible. We were there and met David.
Baverstock.
Baverstock. I always want to say Baverstock. I don't know why. Baverstock, the winemaker, originally from Australia, has been there a long time now. And they were doing harvest. I couldn't even tell. I mean, actually, I was surprised when I came in there and all the grapes are crushing. And they're probably, are they in the middle of it right now?
We finished. We actually, this year, we started quite early. Actually, the earliest ever that we started, August the 3rd.
Really?
Alentejo being a southern region of Portugal, a lot of heat, very dry. We suffer a little bit from heat waves from Africa, so that kind of, when that happens, it creates a bit of a fast maturation with vines. And so we started quite early. So first week of September, we're almost done.
Wow.
And then the Douro region, where we also have that property, we started a little bit later. But Alentejo started very early this year. So we're definitely done right now.
Okay, that's typical. I guess in California, they're in the same situation.
Yeah.
Here in Washington, the same thing. Although this cooler weather probably will help them on some of the grapevines. So yeah, and the really cool thing about Esporao, they have that forgot to turn off my cell phone. Excuse me, just 1 second. There. Okay, they have a historical building there.
We have
the tower.
The tower is a symbol of the company,
which is on the label.
Which is on every single
Yeah.
label, and it's part of our historical center, where we have a tower from the 15th century, a church from the 13th century, and an arch from the 12th century. And actually, it's the second wine that we'll be tasting is actually a dedication to that.
Okay.
But it's a beautiful part of the property where you can actually go inside the tower, visit the tower. On the main floor of the tower, there is a museum with artifacts that date back for the 3rd millennium before Christ. So,
wow.
And this is basically because one of our vineyards, when we were renovating the vineyard, when there was excavation going on to replant the vines, these workers started to find these artifacts, which were unusual. And eventually, the archaeological team from the government came in and they started to, do more investigation about it. And there are artifacts that date back for the 3rd millennium before Christ. So we expose these artifacts in the tower, and we have a kind of a museum there. So
yeah,
it's kind of a cool situation.
It's very
beautiful. So
very cool. And then right next to that tower is a experimental vineyard where they plant 188 different varietals.
Yes. So this is part of the sustainable project of the company. Most of our practices are sustainable. This includes water preservation, includes 1/3 of the vineyard being organic, using less ink on our materials, on our packaging, so less of a footprint in the environment. Planting bat nests throughout the vineyard, just an example, so bats are eating more insects. We're using less spray, less pesticides. And and the amplographic vineyard, the experimental vineyard, is another situation where we're planting 188 varietals in a space of around 45 acres of land. So each row is one varietal, and the idea is for us to understand the development of each of one of these varietals in our climate with our soil, so we can prepare for global warming, and we know which varietals will work better in the future. So most of it is Portuguese varietals, but there are some international varietals. Obviously a mix of white and red. And yeah, it's a great thing to it's good to understand how the varietals will develop. We share this study with whoever wants and is interested. So, because the ultimate goal is for us to produce better wine, and we want Portugal to produce better wine as a country too. So, it's a
very, very cool place. I mean, there were grapes I never even heard of there.
Me too.
You can't name all 188?
No,
okay.
I'm sorry.
I won't name. Okay, so we're going to get started on the wines. This is their flagship white. Maybe you could talk about it a little bit. I'm going to rinse your glass for you, Pedro. Okay.
All right.
We're going to get a little close up here. Don't know if Mike does his dishes very well. I don't want soap in my wine. Okay, so let's get a little close up. This is the Interveiw white, I guess.
Yes.
Branco,
which means white in Portuguese.
I like that. I got to get that right. Branco.
Branco.
Okay, and let me know if I'm in the right spot. Good?
Yeah.
This rolls in at $12. And it is, well, you read them off because you're better at doing this. I know the varietals that are in there.
So Interveiw White is it's been one of our flagship white wines. It's a traditional blend of local varietals. So we're using indigenous varietals to produce most of our white blends. And this is a great example. We use grapes like interveiw, like Interveiw, and Pedro. This might not mean much, but these grapes are widely planted in Alentejo. They're commonly blended together and very, very famous in southern Portugal. Obviously not so familiar in North America.
Yeah.
I think what you need to understand is Portugal is mostly about blends. And like I said, 188 varietals, it would be kind of strange for us to memorize all of them. So,
yeah.
So it's a typical white blend from southern Portugal. The varietals itself, interveiw has good texture, has a good weight, a little bit of tropical notes. Interveiw is more floral, more aromatic. And then finally, Pedro is just a varietal that by itself probably not very interesting, but it yields very well in the vineyard, so it creates big volume, and it's great for blending too. So ultimately,
the white carignan of Portugal.
You could say that.
Yeah.
It'd be a good way to.
So 40, 40, 20. And that's true. I think you guys only have a couple of single varietal wines.
Yes, for whites we only have one, which is the Interveiw.
Okay.
For reds we have, depending on the years, we might do 2, 3, 4. Depending how these varietals perform, we will decide if we will bottle them or not.
Yeah, we're doing tonight we're doing the Tinta Franca or the Tinta Ruiz.
The
Tinta Ruiz.
Okay.
Yeah, which is 100% Tinta Ruiz.
It will probably be the Aragonês.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it the Aragonês?
It's
TN. It says TN.
Oh, Touriga Nacional. Okay.
Touriga Nacional.
Okay.
Which is the main grape of
Portugal.
Portugal.
Absolutely.
All right.
So the Interveiw White, the idea here is to produce a wine that's crisp, very refreshing, very clean. We only use stainless steel, so there's no oak here.
All right.
And the reason for that is we want to preserve the main characteristics of the fruit. We want it to have good acid, and just being produced this way, we want it to be easy, acceptable for not only to drink it by itself, but also you can pair this with shellfish, with seafood risotto. It's a really versatile wine.
They don't do shellfish in Portugal, do they?
Of course.
we had stuff I'd never even heard of there. So anyway, very herbal on the nose. I get a lot of. It's interesting. I get a little bit of banana, which is kind of curious. Hard to put banana on tasting notes. For some reason, banana customers don't understand that it's not sweet like a banana.
No.
But it just has an essence.
Mostly banana skin. It's a little bit. Yeah. It does have that kind of green banana skin sometimes, especially when it's really young. I get that, and it's a very interesting aroma that you get.
Yeah, and a lot of herbal quality to this wine.
Very flowery as well. Then on the palate, you still get a little bit of that banana sensation, but there's a little bit of citric and lime at the beginning, so you feel a bit of grininess, minerality.
Yep,
so
wet stone, a lot of wet stone coming through. Love this wine actually for $12. If you're doing seafood, this is really, it's a perfect wine because it has that old world kind of minerality, but it has a lot of fruit essence to it. A little bit of lemon on the finish too.
And there's a little bit of weight on the wine too, because part of this blend will actually see a little bit of least contact. So on the press, we actually leave it in contact with the skins, so that will extract a little bit more texture and also a bit more weight. So it is a kind of interesting.
They're gonna love this. This is the wine we're pouring as they come in the door.
Oh, beautiful!
So this is gonna be a great wine. $12. You can't beat a wine like this for $12. And really, I'm kind of on a mission ever since I went to Portugal to really get people interested in Portuguese wines. And my section in the store has gotten a lot bigger for that. So it's cool. Good wine. Excellent. Let's move on to the Arco. I want you to explain to my audience the difference between Alentejo and Alentejano.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, the way you classify wine in Portugal, there are generally 3 ways to do it. There is table wine, there is regional wine, and there is a DOC wine. And table wine basically means that you can source grapes from the entire country. Regional wine, you can source grapes from your own region, and then DOC wine has to be from your own sub-region or estate. And the difference between Alentejo, which is the region, and Alentejano basically is to distinguish regional wine from DOC wine. So if it's a regional wine, you will call it Regional Alentejano. If it's a DOC wine, you would say DOC Alentejo. It's just a technicality. Probably should be a bit easier to communicate, but that's how it is, and that's how you classify it.
Well, you know, it's very similar in a lot of ways to French. You get the Loire Valley, Muscadet, you know, you get Sancerre. They're all in the same region, but they're different parts of the region. So let's. This is the Arco.
Arco Red 2010.
What's in this one?
So Arco Red is three varietals. It's mostly Portuguese varietals, and then there's the French varietal. There is Aragonês, which is the same as Tempranillo. So in southern Portugal we say Aragonês, in northern Portugal we call it Tinta Roriz, and in Spain they call it many names. The most famous one is Tempranillo. I believe there's around 12 names for it, so Portugal is less complicated, only 2. And then finally there's some Syrah, so Rhone varietal to finalize the blend. So Aragonês and Touriga Nacional dominate the blend, and then Syrah finalizes around 20%. So Aragonês has good structure, good complexity. Touriga Nacional, famous for its violet notes, also a bit blueberry notes. Then Syrah, a bit of spiciness, brings that kind of excitement into the blend.
And Touriga Nacional is the main.
Touriga Nacional is the king grape of Portugal.
Yeah.
It's widely planted in Portugal, widely planted all over the world. You see Touriga Nacional in Australia, in South Africa, in the US. I've seen it in several places. The reason for it, it's very adaptable to any type of climate, any soil. The tree itself is very resistant, so you can plant it almost anywhere. And the flavor profile is just amazing. Touriga Nacional can be wines that can age for forever and ever, and their floral notes are very popular. Violets, like I mentioned before. Blueberries, some black fruit also. So it's a beautiful variety.
Yeah, and the Douro isn't Touriga Nacional and Touriga Franca.
Yeah, Douro has many varietals. Touriga Nacional, Touriga Franca, Tinta Roriz, a Tempranillo varietal, Tinta Amarela.
But those are the main grapes.
The main grapes for Porto. Yes,
yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, right off the bat you get the blueberry and there's a little bit of raspberry too. This is very floral on the nose. A little bit of violets coming through, or flowers.
The palate you get more, in my opinion, I think there's more of the Aragonês varietal because of its structure, its complexity, its tannin. It's a good grip with tannin. Like I said, it's Touriga Nacional. The violets are really beautiful.
Prominent, yeah. Good acidity.
Good acidity, good finish.
Yeah.
And this is a great example of a great Portuguese wine where, and I'm glad you mentioned acidity. Portuguese wine have great acidity, and that allows us to make wines that are easily paired with food.
Yeah.
Great food wines, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. This would be great with a steak.
Yeah.
I mean, perfect.
But it's not you know, overly extracted. There's not too much tannin. It's a nice medium bodied red wine. So I could see that being served with steak, but I think maybe even with some poultry would go on. Because it's not overwhelming. Even maybe with some codfish.
This would be good with salmon.
Codfish. We do a lot of salted codfish in Portugal. So codfish has that. You know, it's a big dish with some good saltiness, and I think
Suckling pig.
Yeah, why not? Still early, but
that's the only time I've tried suckling pig, and it might be the last time I tried it.
Don't say that. Come on.
No, it was actually really good. We went in this little, believe it or not, we were going down the road, we pull over to this gas station that had a restaurant in it, and that's the first place that we tried suckling pig.
Yeah,
they have this little gravy that you dip it in, and
yes,
it was very interesting. Very salty. So this would be perfect.
Yeah, Portugal is in that sense is a bit different than the US. So we usually when you stop on the highway, we don't have McDonald's or Burger King. We actually have traditional food, which is kind of interesting. So you can actually stop for 15-20 minutes and have a traditional meal, which is I think is a great thing.
It is a great thing. I thought it was really cool. Get a little licorice on this, a lot of minerality. This is a great wine for $12. It reminds me a lot. It's very has a lot of finesse. It reminds me a little bit of a Bordeaux in a way. without the funky leather dirt stuff going on. It's actually, what a great wine. Did we try this when we were over there?
No.
I don't think we did. No? Alright.
Right.
This is your big bad boy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. This is a Reserva from Esporao. What's in this one?
So this is our
2011
flagship red wine. This is what started the company back in 1985. It was our first wine. So kind of our little baby.
Mm-hmm.
We love it. There's one particular importance about it. It's the label itself. So basically, we change the label every year.
Let's show the label. Okay, this is the 2011 version.
So since
you want to give us a close-up?
So since 1985, we've been supporting the artist community in Portugal, and we have commissioned a different artist every single vintage.
Good. All right.
So we've had abstract painters, we've had photographers, ceramic producers, so a little bit of a wide range of artists that have decorated the label. And this creates kind of a following. A lot of people know these artists well, old Portuguese artists, and of course they buy the wine for the art, but mostly for the juice, obviously.
Yeah. So I have the last year's version on my shelf.
The 2012,
yeah.
The red label.
Yeah.
Very well.
Or the, no, this is...
This is 11.
So I have the 12.
You have the 12.
Okay. All right.
I think, do you?
I don't know the vintage, I didn't look at it. So this runs in at $29, which when you're talking about, the Arco was 2010, I forgot to mention the vintages, and this is 2013, the white. So they're right on cue as far as vintages, as far as I'm concerned. So 11 was a tough vintage in Washington. How was 11 in Portugal? Was it okay?
Oh, it's one of the best vintage ever.
Really?
It's a classic vintage for Portugal, but also Europe. It's a declared vintage year for port. All over Portugal, everybody that made 2011 wines are exceptional. The fruit that came off the vines were perfect. We had the right amount of rain, the right amount of sun hours. It was just a perfect year. So, and this is a great example of a Alentejo dry red wine, big red wine, structure, complexity, beautiful aromatics, and the potential for aging is incredible here too.
So what's the blend? Did you mention the blend?
So four, I have not mentioned.
Okay.
4 varietals.
Okay.
2 Portuguese and 2 French.
Okay.
The Portuguese varietals account for 70%, and we have Aragonês, which is Tempranillo. We have Trincadeira, and Trincadeira, opposed to Aragonês. Aragonês has tannin and structure. Trincadeira is a small berry, thin skin, so it delivers a lot of red berry juice, a little bit of plum notes, a little bit of green notes as well sometimes. So it kind of, these two complement each other very well. One has tannin structure, the other one has nice red berry fruits. And then there's 20% Alicante Boucher. Alicante Boucher brings mostly color, structure as well, but also black fruit, blackberries, black currants, some licorice. So the licorice that you tasted here before here will be more present.
Okay.
Mostly because of Alicante Boucher. Some cassis as well is typical.
Right.
And then we finish off with 10% Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay.
For added structure, a little bit of spiciness, a little bit of green pepper note. Yeah, and then there's the oak treatment here. Contrary to the first one where there is no oak treatment, for this Pinot Red we use 1 year American oak, but only 1/3 is new. The other 2/3 is oak that's been used for 1 and 2 years. So
okay.
the idea is really to create a balance. We don't want the oak to overpower the fruit characteristics and the acidity, so we create this balance of
I like
flavors.
to hear that. Nothing worse than a really good red wine that's over inundated with oak. So, just to say it in English, you're talking about Alicante Boucher, right? It's a grape. It's the only one of the only grapes that produces red juice.
It's one of the few grapes in the world that has red flesh. Alicante Boucher originally is from Languedoc, southern France, and it's a crossing between Grenache and Petit Boucher.
Okay.
And it's used in southern France, but mostly it's used for adding color in difficult years. It's hardly ever promoted as a grape varietal. It's been in Portugal for, I want to say, around 60 years. It's been adopted by the region, so Alentejo recognized the grape Alicante Boucher, and it's recognized by the region. And I would say that, I don't know, maybe 90% of the producers in Alentejo will have Alicante Boucher and will use it regularly, because it is a beautiful varietal.
Yeah, I really like it in wine. It reminds me a little bit of Mourvedre, which they use in Rhone Valley to give it weight and depth. Yeah, the flowers on this are amazing. This has a lot of violets too, a little bit of rose petal and violets. black olive, which is kind of curious with the fruit.
It's nice and vibrant right now.
Yeah.
You feel the acidity here in the structure. It's there's some muscle in the wine. And it's beautiful. If you like these type of wines with good muscle, with good acidity, then now is the time to drink it. But if you want it more settled down and more velvety, more delicate, then this wine is going to age for a long time. So
Oh yeah.
you can play around with it. You know, you can buy a case of this and just open it every year or every 2 years, and you'll see the difference of how it's growing.
Great balance. I mean, the acidity, the fruit, the minerality are all kind of well integrated. I mean, it's just like you said. It's got grip on the backside. You know it's going to soften up eventually. But yeah, it's great. Very smooth, even though it has all that that juice to it. Yeah, that's. What I really like all about all these wines is the minerality. Whenever you get old world wines, you get minerality, and it's nice to see Esporao not bowing to the critics that like the big plush, over-extracted wines. These are real classic, good food wines that, yeah, with age. I'm gonna get a couple bottles of that. That's good. 5, 10 years from now, it's gonna be amazing.
Absolutely. Oh, and it's good you say that we don't follow that kind of line in wines that we want the Parker scores and all that. No, we want to produce mostly wines that are truthful to our varietals, to our environment, and this is also a testament of the quality of the winemakers that we have. David Baberstock is an exceptional winemaker, and this is obviously his little babies, along with Luís Patrão, which also is part of the wine team, and Sandra Alves, who makes the whites. So the three of them work tremendously well together. They're a great team, and this is the result: exceptional wines coming out from a great region, made by amazing winemakers.
I totally agree. Thanks, Pedro.
Thanks, Dan,
for being on the show.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching, and remember, wine is not a mystery. It is just fermented grape juice. Drink it, enjoy it. Be willing to try new things. Portuguese wines. Look up Esporao. They're a good example of quality wines from this country. But never ever let anybody tell you what you should or shouldn't like. And if you do that together, we can take the snob out of wine.